Grandpa Jake here from Funtime Grandpa. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things I've been noticing on my Phantom 2. And the sad thing is I've wrote to DJI, I sent pictures, and yet I didn't get any response in reference to helping me get this repaired. And what you're going to see here are cracks that are forming on each end below the motors, and this one's even worse than the other because it's actually breaking apart. And keep in mind, I have not had one hard landing, one crash, or one drop. This is all from normal flying, and mostly I just take photos with this, so it's starting to break apart and I don't know exactly why. So what I did, and I'll show you along the way, I actually ordered my own shell, a new shell, and I did something a little different. I don't know if it's going to help it or not, but in here, and I don't know if you can see it real well or not, I actually have it reinforced with fiberglass mesh, which is basically the drywall fiberglass tape you can put on the wall. And then what I did, I coated it, and I'll show you if I still have it here. I coated it with this stuff called shoe goo. And a lot of the people that use radio controlled cars and trucks that do racing use this, and it's pretty neat. I'll tell you one little secret though, my brother told me this, is as you put it on and mush it down inside, wet your finger because it won't stick to you. And I did that, and it's actually been in there about a week now, and I figure today I'm going to start tearing it apart and assembling it in this one, hoping that in the future this doesn't happen again. And what else I'm going to do with this one, and hang on, I'm going to put you on hold for a minute. Okay, and what I wanted to show you is what else I'm going to do along the way is I'm going to put in new motors. And these motors I have put in one of my other Phantoms, a Phantom 1, and I've been amazingly impressed. And these are made by flight-rc.com. And the motors I'm using are the, whoops, focused out a little bit there, are the Ipower, and these are for the Phantom. They are extremely powerful, dynamically balanced, and have an amazingly quiet sound, which hopefully if you listen to my other video where I installed those motors, you'll hear the difference. But I'm going to put them in there, and hopefully the combination of what I've done will avoid this kind of destruction. And I think people, or DJI, may have been blaming it on people's controlling or crashing or hard landing, but this has not had even a mildly rough landing. I'm very careful at the end, and I've tried to keep it together, and it just has not worked. So hopefully this will help. Talk to you in a little bit. Bye-bye now. Okay, we have everything out of the shell. It didn't take too long. The Phantom 2 Vision, I think, is a little more complicated because of the way some of the other electronics are in there, but I'm sure if you take your time and pay attention, you'll have no problem at all. I take a lot of photos during the process and before, so I can remember in case something gets turned around. And you can see inside here, I've tried to salvage this as it started cracking up by putting epoxy, but it just it didn't help. So maybe the reinforcement with the shoe goo and the fiberglass mesh will help put things together. And the only other thing I would suggest is when you do disconnect your ESCs, hold your wires. I'll just show you even though they're not on. Basically, I take a needle nose plier and I hold the wire so that when it pops, it doesn't snap and spread solder on these other circuits. You want to make sure you don't get any solder splashes, otherwise you'll have a problem. So just be careful when you unsolder, hold it with a needle nose plier, and then let it sort of harden up before you let anything go. That will avoid the splashes. And the same thing when you're putting them on. it's best if you got a person to help you, that would be great, but if not, get a little solder on the tabs, get a little solder on the wire, and hold it tight with the needle nose pliers, and make sure you get it nice and hot, not too hot, but hot. I have a 45-watt soldering iron which is working really well, and when it's done, it should be a nice shiny silver. If it's dull, looks like tin, then you want to redo it with a little more solder and a little more heat to make sure that you get a nice solid solder joint. You don't want anything cold, or otherwise you're going to have the possibility of it cracking or breaking apart during flight, and we all know what will happen then. So I'll come back in a little while and show you the completed project, but it's not too difficult so far. Okay, we have everything back together. The motors have been tested, and no more cracks. And hopefully that fiberglass reinforcing and the shoe glue will help, but everything's working fine. I want to do some calibrations to make sure that everything is going good with the motors. But again, you got to check these motors out. This is the second Phantom I've put them on, and they're just so smooth and they just work great. Had a little choking spell there, but getting back to the motors, these are the Ipower motors from iFlight, and they are really, really smooth. And they've got a lot of power, and I've been very happy with them. So check it out. I'll put a link in my website and see what you can do. Be back in a little bit to finish this up. Okay, we've got everything completed. Put my little World War II decal on it, which I think is pretty cool. And we've got the Ipower motors, a whole new shell, and we're going to give it a auto flight and see just how well it works. You probably won't be able to stay with it too long because I'm going to go pretty far just because I want to really give a good test of the motors. But just so you can see everything real quick, let me do a walk around. And then we're going to set up our mission and press go. So let's get back to the car. Oh, let me show you the controller too. I thought that was pretty cool. So that's my little decal setup, but it turned out pretty good. And this is the mission I'm going to do. See if I can get there so you can see it. I'm right here. Oops. Right there. And I'm just going to go around about 10 waypoints. I'm going to do banking, and we'll see how it works. So hang on and let's hit go. It's uploading, and hopefully she'll go. Really quiet motors. There she goes.
Thank you.